What's going on, YouTube? We are back here today on the Fumble Pod. We have Week 9 NFL coverage today. Again, kind of like the college football one, we went 3 for 3. A little bit of some surprising games. There's one that we didn't even talk about that I'm excited to speak on. And then after we get through all of our picks and or all of our recaps and thoughts, today was the NFL trade deadline. I'm gonna go over all the biggest moves that I've seen. And yeah, so we're gonna have a nice little jam-packed episode here. I am your host, Dalton Lee. And let's just get right on into it. First up, we had Thursday Night Football. We had the Ravens traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins. This was Lamar's first game back from an extensive period out, and he impressed. He impressed. He had 4 total touchdowns. They won 28-6, which oddly enough, they won 28-6. The Ravens felt in control, but the Dolphins felt like they shot themselves more in the foot than how well the Ravens played. The Dolphins had some bad penalties called on them and some really piss poor execution. I I'll be the first to say I do think Tua is kind of starting to check out. Honestly, I just the way he's interacting, the way he's been playing, I feel like he's starting to check out. There's starting to be some disbelief in the locker room, and I'm sitting here talking like Tua's checked out, like as if he was supposed to be the savior. I mean, everybody thought he would, but he's not. He's merely almost a fork in the road, if you will. He can't really elevate a team. He's kind of Tua's at this point, just based off of the skill set and what we've seen out of him. He's more of a game manager, not a game changer. He's a game changer for the bad reasons. When they win, he's more of a game manager. He's able to kind of just play point guard and get the ball out and let his playmakers make plays. But the problem is, he's not getting the ball out on time to his playmakers. And I understand some of his playmakers are hurt. Tyreek's out, and he doesn't have outside of Waddle really great help besides Waddle and A Chain. But he really hasn't been getting the ball out quick enough. He's been holding on to the ball too long, taking sacks, and honestly putting them behind the chains at times. And even when they got plays called, there's just been some really bonehead decisions. I remember one play, they're in the red zone. They have a chance to, at this point it was 14-6. They're in the red zone right before halftime. It's fourth down. And, late in the half, they're deciding they're going to go for it instead of kicking the field goal to make it 14-9, which, I mean, fair. I mean, at that point, I'd probably take the points, but I understand the play call. Or not the play call. I understand the idea. It's only fourth and 4. If you don't convert, I mean, the Ravens only have 20 seconds to get down the field, so it is what it is. And you're going to throw a jump ball to A Chain. Well, I guess that was the idea. Which I understand A Chain is a pretty good pass catcher. He's one of your more explosive players. But you throw the ball so far, A Chain doesn't even have a chance to make a play on that ball. A Chain literally looks up and stops because he knows he can't get to it. So not only did you throw a jump ball to a running back, you threw a non catchable ball on fourth down. On fourth down. Not third down to where you're going to throw it to where either your guy can get it or it's incomplete. Fourth down when regardless of what happens, Ravens are going to get the ball. So you better hope you either get a first down or a score. And you basically threw it away. And it was like from there, it was just all Ravens second half. It was really piss poor execution by the Dolphins. I think they're look. I would expect them at the end of the season to clean house and start looking to move off of a bunch of pieces and kind of get into that tank rebuild type mode. Try to move off some of your big contracts and just kind of restart because that's where you're at this point. Some of your best players are getting older, and your other up and coming players you can probably get some really good value for. That's what I'm looking at them to do. The Ravens, I understand it was Dolphins, but they look decent. The defense looks like it's starting to pick up a little bit. Lamar picked up right where he left off. He had a good little get back game. So Ravens might be ready to make a run right now. I just It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. They're in a pretty big deficit, but I mean, they got 2 games coming up that look like if they swing their way, I mean, they're right there back at 500 in a in their division that's still, quite frankly, wide open. Next, before I talk about the 2 1 o'clock games that I did talk about, I'm gonna talk about one that I didn't talk about. Panthers Packers, baby. Packers 12.5 point favorites at home, coming off of a great win against the Steelers last week. And the Panthers beat them. Not only covering the spread, but they win the game. As much as I would like to sit here and say that the Panthers outplayed them, they kind of did. Panthers ran the ball phenomenally. Rico Dowdle, have a day, man. Have a day. And honestly, the Panthers defense, I mean, I understand at times was a little choppy, but in big moments, they stepped up and made some plays, especially the young guys, the athletes. The offensive line for the Panthers really impressed me. They're beat up outside of Ike Ekwonu, and they kind of held their own. Only give up 1 sack to Xavier McKinney. I mean, you're having to pass block Micah Parsons or Rashawn Gary. Basically ineffective. Ike Ekwonu is going to be in Micah Parsons' nightmares type of performance he put up. But with Bryce Young not having a great day, you're relying on the run game. Rico was able to get the job done, and the defense was. Granted, I do feel like the Packers' offensive play calling was very bad. They were very conservative, took very little shots, and they just played really safe in a game that was close for majority of the day. I think the Packers only had a 3-0 lead, or 3-0. Yeah, I think it was a 3-0 lead. And after that, Panthers had the lead and never looked back. I mean, it got tied up at one point when the Panthers were able to go down and kick a game-winning field goal. I mean, was it the sexiest win? Absolutely not. Is it still a big win to have in November football? Yeah. This is the first time in a long time that Panthers fans could sit here and be like, we're winning somewhat meaningful games in November with chances of potentially being able to go on the run. I mean, their next 2 games are the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, the Saints ain't much. I mean, they kind of got worse after the trade deadline. And then the Falcons have been so wishy-washy. If you're able to get them 2 games, you're looking at a 7-4 record. Yeah, that's when you get into the tougher part of your schedule. But 7-4, I mean, at worst, you're probably an 8 or 9 win team after you, at one point, were only a 3-win team last year, and then you were able to muster out a couple more wins to get to 5 wins. You're already at your same total you were at last year, and November just started. Things are kind of trending the right way for the Panthers right now. Packers, they are bamboozling me. One week they look like one of the most dominant teams in the league, and then the next they just look like they blow out the teams that are supposed to be even matched with them, and then they lose the teams that they should blow out. It's so confusing. And it's almost like week to week you look at the play calling has changed. I understand play calling will be a little different now because they just lost their star tight end Tucker Kraft to an ACL. Hope he rests up soon because he is fun to watch. He's really explosive. He's fun. But still, they have enough talent to where they still should be somewhat explosive. Not to mention, they still got Josh Jacobs in the backfield, who's pretty good. I'm not going to say that the Packers defense lost them that game, really. I understand they gave up a lot of rush yards, but the Panthers were almost damn near ineffective in the passing game, really. But that offense, the Packers offense, got to figure it out. Figure out what they want to be on offense. It was a great win for Carolina. We loved it. Now let's get into the games that we did talk about. So, Vikings-Lions. Lions were 9.5 point favorites. We picked them to win by double digits, and they lost. They lost 27-24 to the Vikings. In a game in which J.J. McCarthy started off a little rocky, but then he kind of picked it up in the second half. It reminded me a lot of the Bears game that he played in to start the year. A little rocky in the first half, and then like that late third, fourth quarter, he was just moving different. He was starting to look somewhat like the JJ McCarthy we saw at Michigan. He's just making plays, getting the ball to his best playmakers. He even scrambled, and got a touchdown himself. I mean, when JJ McCarthy is able to truly make the defense have to account for him plus all his weapons, it's a pretty effective offense with a defense that is pretty good. Now I understand Carson Wentz kind of put him in a hole the last couple of weeks, but if JJ is able to kind of keep playing the way he's playing right now, the Vikings will be very competitive. The Lions, yeah, it is a tough one to lose, especially at home. You've been rolling the last couple of weeks. The run game was kind of stagnant, and your passing game was a little. It was very heavy forward, which kind of puts you in some tough situations because everybody on the field knows what's coming. But still, to lose by a field goal, I wouldn't hang your head too low just because you'll be able to bounce back from it. You got good coaching. You still got really good playmakers on both sides of the ball. You know, and from the way it looks like a lot of these big teams had some tough game. I had a tough week this week, so it's bound to happen. I really do think Dan Campbell and all them are going to get into the Lions' asses and just be able to stir the pot, get them back on track going on from this game. But again, very big win for the Vikings. Maybe trying to build some momentum going into the rest of the season. Then we had the Colts Steelers. Colts were 3.5 point favorites. I took them winning by a touchdown, and they lost 27-20. That's right. We went 0 for 2 in our 1 o'clock games. The Steelers defense made Daniel Jones look like Daniel Jones of New York because they couldn't establish a run game really. And asking Daniel Jones to throw 50 times is insane. I mean, he had 1 touchdown, 3 picks. I mean, he was kind of seeing ghost out there, which is kind of crazy because the Colts' first drive looked very good. I was like, okay. They were able to move the ball. We were like, okay, this is going to be an interesting game. But a Steelers defense picked it up. And with the way their offense has been moving, being able to put points on the board, especially off of turnovers, it was kind of an easy ride the ship game. You're like, as long as they can keep limiting what the Colts can do, they were going to win it with ease, especially after halftime. And that was the crazy thing. Like, this was the worst game by the Colts offense, and they only lost by a touchdown on the road. So even if they had an average day, maybe they're in that game for sure. So Colts fans would not be super worried. Your defense did just get better today, so I wouldn't hang your head too low. I understand you're getting a little worried because you finally had that bad Daniel Jones game, but maybe he's able to look back on it, figure out, okay, how can we make things a little easier for him when the run game isn't necessarily there to start, and build off of it and go from there. Steelers, maybe your defense is finally back, which you can use this time of year, especially with the Ravens starting to try and claw their way back up to being at y'all's level. So, all around, just a really gritty football game there. Then we get to the 4 o'clock game that we talked about, the Chiefs and Bills. Chiefs were favored 1.5 points because it was Chiefs. They've been rolling lately, and for a good chunk of it of the season, even though the Bills look better, it looked like the last couple weeks Chiefs have been kind of getting back into it, getting back into a rhythm. So I thought it was going to be a high scoring game. It really wasn't. It was 28-21 Bills. The Bills were just so efficient on offense. They ran the ball at will. Josh Allen, I think, went 23 for 26. No turnovers. If the Bills defense played like they did against Patrick Mahomes every week, they probably lose 2 games all year and are easily the Super Bowl favorite. It's so mind-blowing how their defense can be so up and down, but yet every time they play Mahomes is almost like they know what to do. I mean, granted, this is the 10th time that we've seen Mahomes and Allen play each other, so you would hope they know how to play against each other, and they're 5-5 against each other. So these games are always good. I feel like they're always close, always come down to the wire, but if anything, the Bills and the Eagles have given us the recipe on how to beat this Chiefs team, or any Chiefs team, really. If you put pressure on Mahomes and limit the run game, you can make Mahomes look like a average quarterback to slightly below average, because then he's trying to do too much, and that's where you get some errant passes that turn into turnovers. And if your offense can just be able to produce a drive after that, maybe put up some kind of points, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, more times than not, you're going to beat the Chiefs. Granted, Chiefs defense was trying to keep them in and out of the game outside of, really not establishing a good run defense. But it was a great game. And but again, I've seen this Bills team beat this Chiefs team in the regular season. It's gonna be a matter of, if and when they face each other in playoffs. Is it gonna be the same old where, yeah, Josh Allen guys win in the regular season, but Mahomes gets the last laugh. But if the Bills are able to execute this type of game plan more times than not throughout the rest of the season, they're gonna be really good. You don't need Josh Allen to be a 50 touchdown man every week. If he can be this efficient guy, be able to let James cook, you're going to have a recipe for success. Then we get to the Sunday Night Football matchup. Seattle going to Commanders. The line was only 3.5. We picked the Seahawks to win, and they did. Uh, you know, Commanders were struggling to begin the game, and then you watch that horrific Jaden Daniels injury. I mean, if you've seen the clip, you know how bad it is, but I know which way your arm's supposed to bend and which way it's not. So when you see it go the opposite direction, it's always just so gruesome. And I really hate it for him because I feel like he hasn't really been healthy all this year and he hasn't been able to get into any type of rhythm. And when he's in a rhythm, he's phenomenal to watch. He's almost must see television because he's just so fun. He reminds me of a young Lamar almost, just with the electric plays that he can make. But Sam Darnold and that offense was able to capitalize off of a lot of miscues from the Commanders' offense and just torch them. Torch them. Sam Darnold might be starting to bounce his way up into potential MVP talk. Not saying I would give it to him, but just based off of the way he's looked at times, he's playing some really good football. He looked like Sam Darnold of the Vikings in this game. I think he had 4 touchdowns on the day. I mean, he just truly was out there slinging, and it's been working. And he just got a little more help on that side of the ball. So it's gonna be uphill from here. When I say uphill, it is gonna be uphill because they gotta play a lot more division games. But the future is looking pretty good for Seattle right now. And then we get into our Monday night matchup. Cardinals and Cowboys. Cowboys are 2.5 point favorites. I thought this was going to be the year that they break their streak against the Cardinals. They hadn't beat the Cardinals since 2017. And we were wrong. Cardinals went out there with Jacoby Brissett and put on a clinic. I almost feel like, the Cowboys defense really didn't do much until about that fourth quarter. Got a couple big stops, was able to score a little bit, and the Cowboys, with 6 minutes left, have a chance to bring the game close. I think it was a 10-point game at this point, and they were able to potentially go downfield, get some points, make it a one-possession game. And Javonte Williams fumbles. That's all she wrote. Cardinals were able to get a couple first downs, ended it. This Cowboys defense, man, has really been bad. No matter what the offense does, the defense has just been atrocious this year through and through. Doesn't matter. D line, linebackers, secondary has truly top to bottom been very subpar. And now just having to look at the Cowboys like, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to maybe move off some people, get some picks, and try and rebuild, reload? Or what? Well, now that we're done with the reaction segment, let's get into some of these trades that happened. Because Cowboys did make a big trade. They made 2 trades. One was kind of smaller, one was bigger. So the first one that they did on Tuesday morning today, they traded a 7th-round pick for Logan Wilson. He really hadn't been playing a whole lot for that Bengals defense since they had a rookie they really liked. So Cowboys were able to give up a 7th-round pick for Logan Wilson, who I think is a solid guy, can kind of help shore up that linebacker spot. Not saying he's going to necessarily change the defense, but he's normally a pretty good tackler. He's got a pretty good knack for getting after the ball, so that'll be helpful there. But the big deal they made, the Jets were wheeling and dealing today. They got Quinnen Williams, former All-Pro D tackle from the Jets. I think the Cowboys only had to give up first rounder and they had to give a second rounder this year and a first rounder next year. Which first rounder we don't know yet because it's going to be whichever of the whether it's Cowboys or Packers pick is going to be the higher pick is the one the Jets will get. So, but still, to give up all that, and I think it was Mozzie Smith, former rookie that they drafted, to turn him into Quinnen Williams. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for a defense that's struggling. You get a linebacker to help out in a poorly depth area, and you're shoring up your defensive line. But between Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, that's two really good D tackles that will help out your edges because they do got some young guys that can be explosive and can make a couple plays. But now you're putting two defensive tackles that truly deserve a lot of the attention of the offensive line. That's going to give your edges a lot of one-on-ones. And that's going to be really good for this defense. Not saying, I mean, Quinnen Williams is going to help make the defense better, especially in run situations and potential third down pass rush packages. But it's depth. He's a great player. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, it is actually a pretty good move for the Cowboys. Yeah, you hate to give up a first round pick, but I mean, for a guy like Quinnen Williams at his age, how good he's been, I mean, why not make the move? If he's up for sale, you go get him. But that wasn't even the biggest trade Jets made. Jets trade away Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first round picks. The Colts are all in. The Colts are all in. They were able to say, you know what? This may be a team that has a chance to go do some great things. Let's go get a surefire defensive player. Sauce Gardner, who defense rookie of the year, I think he's won 2 All Pros. I mean, he's just a guy that can basically shut down half a field. To pair him with a defense that's already been playing pretty good, I mean, it's only going to elevate them. To have a guy that can eliminate half a field along with a defensive line like that and linebacker core that's already able to make plays to shore up a secondary piece, it's just going to be absolutely disgusting. I think all they gave it up was 2 firsts. I think they traded away Adonai Mitchell, which I'm not surprised they gave up on A.D. Mitchell. I mean, I think they were ready to trade him after the Rams to blunder when he had a holding call that took away a touchdown and he dropped the ball on the 1-yard line that turned into a touchback that gave away a touchdown in a game you lost by a touchdown. I think they were ready to move off of that guy. So if you can turn him into 1st round picks and Sauce Gardner, you probably do it, especially because he's already gotten his extension. So you have him for the next 5.5-ish years. And right now you're not paying your quarterback really anything. That's always subject to change depending on how the rest of the season goes for Daniel Jones. But they got a really good core on both sides of the ball, and they just got a surefire cornerstone piece that can elevate that team. Rest of the trades weren't super, super crazy. The only other big-ish trade I would say is the Saints moved off of Rashid Shaheed. The guy's a burner. He went to Seattle, which is, I think, great for that receiving core because, yes, JSN's been phenomenal and Cooper Kupp's been phenomenal, but now you get to put Rashid Shaheed in your slot, or even if you put him on the outside to be your gunner, I mean, he can take the top off of defense. That's only going to help out in your aerial attack between JSN, Cooper Kupp, AJ Barnum, your running game that you've been developing over the course of the season. And that's just another deep ball threat for a guy like Sam Darnold who can absolutely rip it. It's just there was a lot of action today, a lot of moves. There were some that weren't super notable. I mean, Jalen Phillips and Jair Alexander both went to the Eagles, in which they went for practically nothing. So if the Eagles are even able to get some production out of those guys, that's scary to even think about. But it, plain and simple, the rich get richer, and the poor are starting to sell out, getting ready for their futures. I mean, we're talking about teams that I think combined, what, Saints have one win, Jets have one win, Dolphins have two, maybe three wins. So you're looking at teams with a combined record of 7 wins and almost 30 losses, going teams that have maybe a combined 5 or 6 losses. You got 3 teams that are trying to compete for potential Super Bowls and 3 teams that are competing for a number one draft pick. So they're just adding capital. I mean, it's a classic GM move. That's what you do. And on both sides, if you're good, you try to get better. If you're bad, at this point, you might as well just try to get worse. Save some money, get some capital. GG, move on to next season. But that's all I got. I know. I know. Yesterday I was talking in my college video that we were supposed to be getting the college football official first college football bracket. I thought it was last night. I was wrong. It comes out tonight at 8 o'clock. I will probably be doing a video on that tomorrow, just talking about the bracket, trying to figure out what the committee is seeing out of the field and where they're favoriting. Maybe there's some teams I don't agree with being in there. It's going to be exciting. We always love a good little debate, if you will. So I'm excited to see how that looks tonight. But that's all I got for you. If you're new here, subscribe, hit the notifications button, let you know when we're posting. If you've been around for a minute, give me your thoughts on some of these games. Maybe if you're popping in from the college football world into the NFL world, give me your thoughts. Maybe which version of football you enjoy more, or maybe throw in a little prediction on how you think some of these trades are going to pan out, or maybe how this bracket's going to go. But until next time, deuces.